Hello, beautiful wild woman. Welcome back to the Wild Woman podcast. I am your host, Hanna, and I am very happy to welcome you back into this beautiful, beautiful wild woman energy. Here in this audio space, we are always traveling in the pursuit of your depth, truth, and inner wisdom. So welcome back today. First of all, before we dive into today's topic, which is spirituality and spiritual beliefs, right? So this is going to be such a treat for me to contemplate, hopefully for you to listen. But what I wanted to say is thank you for everyone who shared some feedback about the last episode, and happy reading, because I know some of you already got the book as well, this life-changing book recommendation that I was talking about in the latest episode. I hope this book is answering a lot of questions for you as well, like it has for me, because throughout my years of being coach for others, being the biggest coach for myself, and going through a massive journey of healing, growth, evolution, of ascension, this has been a book that has answered a lot of questions that I've had, but didn't really know who to ask or how to approach them. So I'm very lucky I stumbled upon this book and got so much clarity in many ways, and so much food for thought that now it can kind of keep processing and can keep going, and there's something to work with now. So let me know how you're doing with this book, and hopefully you enjoy it as much as I do. And so today's episode, so I have been wondering about this for a long time, and spirituality is this interesting topic that we all are very curious. We want to discuss these experiences that someone else or we have had when it comes to the spiritual world, the unseen world, all the gifts that spiritual world can open up for us, like psychic vision, divination practices, rituals, ceremonies, universal laws, all of this, right? There's so many things that nowadays people are talking about, past life experiences, even life coaching. People kind of think it's a spiritual practice, hypnosis, meditations, retreats, predicting the future, vibrational healing. Astrology goes into that, how different planets affect us with their energy and presence of movements, and plant medicine, fire ceremonies, like you name it. There are so many things, from dragon energy to totem animals, spirit animals, and angels, even spirits, communication with spirits, mediumship. There is literally endless world of everything out there, and it can be interesting, obviously, to discover it and dive into it and kind of dabble in it. But I guess the main question that I see that people very often struggle with is how to choose what is right, what is wrong, what is right for me, what is not right for me. So I guess the first thing of what I want to say about it is that ultimately, I would say spiritual life requires an open mind to what could be right for you. And it also requires a very good level of certainty and confidence in the decision-making process. When you feel that something isn't for you or it doesn't feel right for you, then you need to have the ability to speak up very clearly, or state to yourself, or at least have the very strong inner knowing that you wish to stay away from certain practices, wish to stay away from certain topics, or you just feel like something is not right for you. It takes decisiveness to do that and not feel bad about it, and maybe just sometimes say, maybe not yet, not now, not at present time, in these circumstances, I don't want to dive into these things, but keep an open mind to everything that could be right for you. Because I already kind of want to spoil the tagline here early in the episode, and what I want to say is that spiritual beliefs and things that we can have faith in, but we can't quite, let's say, test out for ourselves always in a way that gives us definitive answers. Like a lot of this energetic world, unseen worlds, mediumship, psychic readings, all of this stuff, like even like crystals and things like that, that we like to have these crystals and oracle cards and everything in our life. But how do we know what to believe here? So with all of that, the very simple advice that I have is choose to believe in things, in messages, in different versions of practices that simply elevate your life quality. And it's simple as that. Because otherwise, all of this maze can completely tie you in a knot that it's very hard to untangle. I have grown up with this very spiritual, I guess what I would call a very spiritual way of living since day one, because I have been always unknowingly very open to communication with what some people call behind the veil, or however you want to call it, spirit world, energetic world, the unseen world. I very often call it the witch world, because that's what kind it is, because I feel like as a witch you have these certain perceptions, certain abilities, capabilities that you can tap into, that many different things that maybe other people don't do as often, or just at least not talk about it at all. I don't know actually what a lot of people can tap into. I just have a feeling that a lot of people just refuse to talk about these things and explain them away in something that sounds more logical, sounds more safe, feels more safe to them, and they don't put a lot of life experiences down to like the spiritual world, to the unseen world, to the energetic world. They just like to believe it's coincidences. I don't believe spiritual world is made of coincidences. Nothing is a coincidence. Everything is a divine order. But the thing is that a lot of this world can be also scary. Like I said, from day one, I feel like I've grown up with this quite spiritual world view, because for me, it wasn't growing up that rare to, for example, see a spirit or receive some sort of communication or a message from a spirit. Like, why I use it as spirit is because I don't want to use a word ghost. But as a child, that's what I thought what it was, right? Because they weren't people who were kind of around, but I would be able to sometimes see something, experience something, just get a knowing of something, and also sometimes have a very real conversation with someone that I know for a fact wasn't in the world of the living, if I would put it simply. And when I was exploring all of that as a child, you have these experiences, the whole nature, whole world is open to you, and you are so open to it. Everything communicates with you. You see a cool like earthworm on the ground somewhere, and you have like some sort of moment with this little worm. You look at it, you feel like you're communicating with it. You see gorgeous plants and you spend some time with them. You chase off the butterflies, you collect sticks, you make some sort of fake tea in the backyard, you play with the stick in the fire. Like, it's all very actually spiritually connected world, and a very high vibrational world in that sense, because it's innocent, it's playful, it's this energy of discovery and non-judgment. And I was that child very much so, and I grew up with like holding on to those beliefs and knowingly that the witch world is possible. It's not just cartoons and TV shows and American movies of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I decided for myself that this is real for me. And I remember thinking even that I don't need to see it, how it's real right now, but I can just believe in it because I like to believe in it. And this belief brought me up to this teenage witch, actually, because in my teens, not so much actually in my teens, but maybe more towards like early 20s. Yep, I think I was already like over 20, maybe 2021. I started to have more profound experiences when it comes to my psychic vision, and the world started to open up for me, and it started to communicate in a more different way. It wasn't anymore like this little girl, blonde girl, leaping through the fields of green and just feeling so connected with everything. It was more like now it started to communicate things that almost like I was meant to hear. And it was very more direct, very more intentional, that type of like conversations and this type of like communication. And I started to also see other people's energy. Although I have like a couple of moments from childhood, like for example, my mom has said that I have called my grandmother a green, like a green person, and asking like, why are you so green? So obviously I had this very good vision of like auras when I was a kid, and growing up that vision has changed a lot. I don't see people walking around in like colorful clouds. That happens very rarely. But I see auras in a different way, more like in sparkles of light and different lights going off around them. And I can see auras in my mind's eye rather than seeing out with like physical eyes, if that makes sense. But I guess where I'm getting at here was that in my early 20s, I was so freaking adventurous and open to all of that world. I was also a bit like, I guess, proud of it, and I was very much like wanting to speak about it, but I didn't want people to make it into like a party trick. Like when I said to some of the closest people around me that I can read, like kind of like see people's energies, and I can see energetic blockages, and I can sense different things, people started to like kind of just like, oh, but tell me this, tell me that, what can you see about me, what can you tell about that person? And it was made me feel sometimes, it was making me feel sometimes almost like it was this big joke or like this entertaining thing. And to me, I could kind of sense that it wasn't just that, but I also didn't know then what it was. And some of the things I shared with people were actually so bang on true. And some things started to move, energy started to move, and it freaked me the F out. And that's when I started to pull back. I started to kind of close myself down because I wasn't sure what is the energy, the field that I am playing at now. And it honestly just terrified me. And there were times where I didn't know what to believe, because none of this stuff is like, nobody's talking about it in school. Kids your age don't talk about it. If anything, they make fun of that. And you know, the world isn't always that welcoming for this very expressive wild woman energy. Yeah, as a more of an adult, you can like cut people out in your life and find your tribe and kind of strengthen your confidence, strengthen your own beliefs and choose your own beliefs, and then just decide to be brave and courageous and decide to just really ground yourself into your own life and really just do your own thing, really. But that's now in my mid-30s. In my early 20s, it wasn't as simple. And as a teenager, you're just living in the cloud of information that is your family, close friends, your school. You have quite like a smaller circle. And at the time, when I was growing up, we didn't have social media either, which was a blessing in one way. But also like social media can give so many different points of connection nowadays to people who are struggling with like their own world views and they don't have anyone to connect to. Social media opens up a pathway to connect with any worldview out there, and you find kind of some people are talking about something that you want to talk about. So hopefully that's one positive nowadays for young people growing up. But I just got scared of this world, and I didn't want to say it like I shut it down, but I made it almost like maybe I don't need to dive into it, or I kind of took a pause from it and took it as a little side hobby. Yeah, I like the crystals, and yeah, I like the dreams I had and the visions I got, and it was like a fun thing to speak to my bestie about. But I never ever, in my wildest dreams, would have like thought about that I would actually integrate it into my life that much that I would practice it as almost like a profession now. But still, now more than 10 years has been flying by, and I still sometimes feel like I just stop and think about things and kind of want to ask myself, like, what the F is happening? What to believe? Like, what's going on? Like yesterday, I had the most profound meditation where all of a sudden I was in a very specific like scene. If I would describe this scene here, it's a scene that everyone on planet Earth, I would say, has heard about this scene. And I was at the presence of Mary Magdalene at the time. And this meditation, this journey, this contact, this energy was so beautiful and strong that obviously I started to cry instantly, and I felt so grateful and filled with love and filled with peace and filled with this inner knowing of like what this is teaching me and what is this telling me and what's the energy and the message and the purpose behind it. But when I came out of the meditation, it's very easy to kind of be like, huh? What? Like, was this real? Like, is it possible to like be in touch with these energies? And of course, if I would be telling this to someone else, of course it's real. Of course it's possible to get in touch with these energies. Of course it is possible to see visions like this, and it's very possible to bring that energy forward, learn very profound lessons and spiritual teachings through meditations like this when you connect with a saint's energy. That was like just one example. But there are so many things in my life that are normally happening, light kind of codes. I don't know how to call these things that are happening, these upgrades, this part of like this energetic ascension all the time, moving energy around, caring for that energy, for myself and for others. That's just the normal reality of myself now. But still I have these moments when I'm kind of thinking like, well, what the heck is going on? For example, past couple of months, I've been sharing on my socials and that I've been finding roadkill owls, in particularly the tawny frogmouth birds, and I've been repurposing their feathers, and I've been just thinking, what's going on? These birds have some sort of message to me, because they've been also living on top of my house and just sitting there and looking down, and it's been an incredible journey with these owls until the message landed. But I feel sometimes like I'm in Harry Potter in this world where like Hedwig is coming and bringing me a message, but at the same time I know I'm not a fictional character. I'm Hanna. So it's can be sometimes a bit like confronting, confusing, daunting. So I want to like say to you that it's normal to doubt it. And I feel like we are meant to question these things and find the answer from within ourselves, and let this answer be something that we are truly feeling connected to. If, for example, someone is sharing to you about something about their spiritual visions, their spiritual beliefs. There are, for example, people out there who are working with darker energies, who are working with crossing spirits over, or helping them to cross over, who are working with them very like not always like lovely maybe energies and situations and things like this. That, at least to me, seems pretty intense. And I'm not sure I would, at least for now, I know that's not for me, like 100% is not for me. But that's what we all need to cultivate, is knowing, even if you don't know what is for you and what to believe, You can keep an open mind, but know what you know that is not for you. That's something we need to kind of hold on to our boundaries and decide that we have the right to say no. We have the right to always choose our own thoughts, our own beliefs, our own presence, health and wellness over anything else in life, because that's what we're meant to be doing. We're meant to care for ourselves. We're not meant to only tap out into the universe to some sort of external sources and live our life kind of outside of our own energy. In fact, you having that type of decisiveness and clear boundaries and energetic hygiene of knowing what is you and what is not for you, that is one of the best ways to truly, gently move through this spiritual world and feel into it and see what works for you and what feels right. There's no better way to discern these things than your own body and feeling into these things. Is it for me? Is it for not? And asking it just a yes or a no question from yourself and trusting the first answer that pops up. That's all you need. Don't overthink these things. And if some sort of belief benefits you and it elevates your life quality, you don't have to prove to anyone why you believe in certain things or why you don't. Just decide it works for you and leave it at that. For example, for me, certain crystals, their presence I truly enjoy. Some of them I just like because they look beautiful. I mean, like I have gorgeous, for example, selenite candle holders in my bedroom, one on each side of the bed. And I would say they're here mainly for the looks rather than a big ceremonial, spiritual, ritualistic purpose. They're more because I like them, and I also believe, that's my spiritual belief, that things that elevate my mood, my life quality through their beauty, it's also a spiritual practice. And sometimes just something that looks good and makes me feel good is a very valid reason to kind of just go with that option. And not everything needs to be extremely deep. Beauty for me is deep and profound enough. But some crystals, for example, I believe they have a very strong transformational quality. For example, one of my favorite crystals on the planet is howlite. So if you want to look it up, it's spelled Howlite, if I'm not mistaken, howlite. And like the word says as well, howlite. I always thought about that. Howlite. They are truly peace-giving, peace-bringing crystals. They don't look the most sparkliest and beautiful. In fact, it's a pretty dull white-looking rock with some grey swirls in it. But oh my gosh, it's the most calming, peaceful energy to this rock. But these are the things that I choose to believe because it helps me in life. It supports something in my life to believe in that. It elevates my life quality to have faith in spirituality. It elevates my life quality to believe that spirit communications are true just because I am able to do that. And now as a coach, I've had many experiences as well where I can kind of test it out. These things are true. It's not extremely uncommon that, let's say, if I'm talking to someone about their loved one who has passed on, and I'm coaching the person who is in grief, for example, it's not uncommon that the person they're grieving is actually coming through. And by no means, I'm a medium, although there is definitely a bit of a call for me maybe one day to explore this. But at the moment, I do not call myself a medium. But these connections happen, and there are these other souls present. And I choose to believe this is true for me just because the information lines up and it supports me to believe that it's true, because otherwise, honestly, someone should lock me up and throw the key away. Because if a lot of my spiritual beliefs and practices and things like that I communicate with and get in touch with, if none of it wouldn't be true, I wouldn't know what to do with myself and where to place myself in life. So I've made a choice that nobody needs to validate this for me besides myself, that this is true for me. Simple as that. Just because it makes my life make sense to me. And I dared to say no to everything else, for whatever reason. For example, I've heard past maybe a few years, quite a few people in my life talk about dragon energy. And I was in awe hearing about this, and I didn't really know how to place myself when it comes to that dragon energy. And same with, like, for example, people speaking light language, truly speaking this foreign language that I do not understand as words, but I do the same hand gestures, for example, when I'm working with some sort of energy and I'm like feeling like I'm channeling and organizing things in an energetic world. So because I don't understand that and I don't get the language and I don't speak it and I can't translate it, I just decide, well, it's not for me at the moment. The dragon energy is not for me. I can respect that this is someone else's experience of their spiritual life. But they, for example, might not have the same X-ray vision that I have, and so on. Everyone has kind of their own pocket of spirituality that they need to be able to claim in their own time, in their own safety, with their own set of boundaries in place. And also keeping in mind that these things can change if we're open to it. Like, for example, I've had a communication with dragons since that first moment when I heard about dragons and dragon energy. So things can change, and I'm not here like in my mind's eye now flying off with dragons all the time, but I've had definitely a contact with that energy before. And I left it at that. That was that. I didn't feel like I want to like build some sort of relationship here, because this is no different from like having an actual relationship with actual animals present here in a very normal world. Same with energetic presences. We need to have very clear boundaries and also know what feels safe for us and where we have this beautiful balance of that our life still makes sense to us, instead of us living in this world that we don't know if it's made up, or like is it like, am I making it up, or am I lying to myself, or am I hearing someone else's story? What's going on? For that reason, for everything to unfold for you in the right time, in the right pocket of your spiritual world, you gotta be able to, like I said, and I will keep saying that, it's just what feels right for you. And boys and girls, dear wild woman, dear anyone who is listening to this podcast, because I know it's not only women and different age people as well, wherever you are in your journey of discovering your spiritual gifts, nobody fully can actually tell you what you might what is right for you and what you might actually believe in, because this is that type of world that let it empower you with the fact that only your word is as important as anyone else's. Things can get a bit messy if we put someone else always on the pedestal, that we believe if someone says something means something, then and it doesn't ring true for us, then we should leave it at that. Because, for example, I know the country that I'm from, for example, in Estonia, I feel like the society in general puts witches and healers and energetic healers and psychic readers on a very high pedestal, almost like these people knows something that like an average person can absolutely not ever get in touch with or can't somehow fact check. So that means that they hold like this key to some sort of secret that, you know, they must know so much better. So, for example, my mom once read an article from a young woman in Estonia who claimed herself to be a witch, and I don't doubt she is. It's just, if someone says they're a witch, doesn't mean we have to adopt all their beliefs. But it was that woman's belief that if she sees a lot of repetitive numbers on like car registration plates and on clocks and wherever, if she sees a lot of repetitive numbers, that means someone is invading her energy. And it's like a very strong sign of caution, and everyone should like look out for that, because that means that someone is trying to like kind of steal your energy and deplete your energy, and someone is living in your energy field. And my mom read this article and she was actually quite scared. Eventually she told me about it, that like, oh, I've been so stressed out, I've been trying to think what's going on, because someone can be living in my energy world. And I was like, where is this all coming from? And she told me this whole story, and I said, hang on, this is one person's opinion, this is one person's story. And if for them seeing repetitive numbers, they choose to believe that that's what it means, that they need to be careful, then this is their information for them to use. And if you adopt that belief blindly and just take it on because someone else said that, and you make it true in your life, is it actually supporting your life quality, or is it just depleting your energy just because you choose to believe that? We need to understand what we give ourselves the right to reject and what we give ourselves the right to believe in without having to explain either side of it to anyone. And one thing I know for sure, all of the coaches, healers, the therapists, whatever people that, they claim they have all the answers, and like I myself, I have helped a lot of people in my coaching career, and some of them extremely successfully to move on with from a lot of stuff in their life. But I don't want to ever be on some sort of high tower, high pedestal in the eyes of anyone that I'm working with. And in general, I think all these people with like kind of spiritual beliefs and feels like they have everything like together, every one of those people is still just a normal person that nobody should put up high on a pedestal. And your own body is the best device to measure what is right or wrong in your world, or at least what is the right timing for it. Let it open up for you in your own way, in your own world, in a way that actually is making you feel good. It's giving you energy, it's giving answers your questions, it's giving you the right amount of like food for thought. It gives you something like almost like lovely to work with, but it's not terrifying you or scaring you, or it's not putting a whole lot of responsibility on your shoulders. Because I know also like the coaching world tends to be quite brutal. Nowadays, young women, for example, become coaches very young, and they don't have a lot of like this big life experience behind them, and all of a sudden they are in these big conversations and trying their hardest to help other people, but make sure that you are cared for first. And same thing with anyone else, whether you're in a position of helping someone else or not, or you're the one seeking help. Ultimately, your inner guidance is as strong and as powerful and has same amount of value in all possible ways as the person who has discovered their spiritual gifts. I'm happy to share like my visions and things like that with people, but ultimately that person and their choice in life and their actions that I'm giving the reading to is always they're the number one priority, not the things what I'm saying. And I think everyone with any practice like this should only take what actually makes them feel good, they agree with, it's easy to understand, it's easy to kind of get behind. And it just melts into the usual life so beautifully, instead of taking on something that is like a rain out of blue sky and you just have to deal with it and kind of adjust to it. Allow yourself to be so selfish and have very strong boundaries in that world, so you can do it safely, you can have fun with it and be in this wild woman energy of like, this is my world. This is my world. And another very important tip about it is have people to talk to have people in your life that you can talk to about these beliefs and your experiences and your understanding of the world. And don't be scared to open up and say these things to the people that you trust, because other people might wait and want to discover someone in their life as well that they want to share these experiences with and kind of bounce their ideas off of. And I have my best friend for that, and if it wouldn't be for her, I have no freaking idea how I would have handled all these things that I'm dealing with, because we are in very sync, and she helps me to just talk about these things and feel like how real and palpable this world actually is. And it just helps to dive in it deeper and feel good and calm about it, if you can speak to someone else about it. So don't be scared to go to circles, go to different groups, make friends who are spiritually inclined if that's your story, and avoid all sorts of conversations to people who just refuse to believe it, refuse to understand it. It's not their thing, and it's not a bad thing. They have the right to claim their own relationship with the spiritual world. And a lot of people are out there, they just think this is complete baloney and some sort of BS, that some sort of spiritual spectacle, and it's fake, and whatever it is in there. We don't have to go into name calling here, but some people just don't like that world, and it's not our job to also make them see it or make them open up to it. Everyone has their own purpose in that world as well. But it doesn't help you, as maybe if you are a wild woman on your spiritual discovery world and on this journey, it doesn't help you if you have to constantly defend yourself, justify your experiences, and prove that they are true to you in a world where people around you just don't want to hear it and think you're going nuts. Find someone to talk to about it who know exactly what you're speaking about. Until then, just choose what feels right, what elevates your life quality. Don't overthink it. Be safe, and only engage with things that you feel are truly kind and loving and playful and bringing you joy and support in life. So beautiful to chat with you today. I hope this little episode here gave you some food for thought and gave you some ideas. Ultimately, it's your choice. It's your life, your energy field. Spiritual world goes very much the same. You wouldn't let just random people from the street to walk into your house and arrange things in your life. Or, I don't know, you wouldn't get random people into your intimate space and tell you how to live your life. Same goes with anything when it comes to spiritual world, any energy that you can create contact with there. Take care of yourself, take care of your energy, take care of your space and your energetic hygiene. And obviously, if you have any questions, get in touch. I would love to speak and elaborate more on certain things if you're interested in. And yes, find your buddies who to talk to these things in depth about, and don't be scared to open up to it if you feel the call. If you tread it nice and slowly and you take it in a way that you can digest it, this world can be actually really lovely to step into, because then a lot of things in your life start to make sense finally. Yes, enjoy this journey in your own pace, in your own time. Thank you so much for listening. I send you so much love, and